is the most inspirational woman? Oh my goodness! Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello, Anka.
Hello.
I want to know, who is the most inspirational woman that you've come across and why?
That I've come across physically on television.
Both. Anywhere. On media, international, anything.
Okay, so I want to say, I wish I could say someone else, but it has to be Oprah Winfrey. The reason is we never had DSTV growing up, so we'd used to watch SABC3 all the time. So my favorite show used to be Generations also, but that's another. But Oprah Winfrey, because I used to, when I grew up, my mom and I and my sister, we used to watch her show all the time. And the way she inspired me to actually also really ask questions and not be afraid to ask them, and see that it always has a good outcome to ask questions. Because if you don't ask, you're just going to sit and not know what to say and not know how to think about things. And that's why she's such an inspiration for me.
Anka, we've been talking about this now for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I want to know from you, when does a girl become a woman?
A girl becomes a woman the moment that she realizes that she doesn't need to prove anything, she doesn't deserve anything of the from this world, but she is worthy, that there's worthiness bestowed within her. And it's something that took me quite a while, because you always feel like you want to prove yourself to people. You want to prove that I am a woman. I want to prove that I am walking with confidence. But it's not something you can prove. It's something that you are. And a woman and worthiness are two things that are connect with each other, because that's what a woman is for me. It's someone that carries herself with worthiness, knows what her worth is. And I think the moment that you realize that you can't compare worthiness, you can't compare one worth to another worth, especially when it comes to womanhood, that's the moment where you realize, you know what, I'm not a girl anymore, but I'm a woman, because I can step into my worth and knowing what that means.
Thanks, Anka.
Okay.
Anka, what is your why? Why are you here? What do you want to do with this ring? Why? Why?
Why? My why burns with such fire in my soul that I can't not smile when talking about it. So I'm a pharmacist, and I decided to study pharmacy because I lost a family member due to negligent healthcare in the government sector. We didn't have enough money to afford private healthcare. And I've been working at ground level with a lot of the patients, and I see how incredibly demotivating it is for them to go to the clinic, to sit there the whole day, not get helped, and have to go back still sick. And I would love to change that. I know I can't necessarily change this whole country's system, but if I can just help in a little way, like when we were working with Ibumba at the Pefeni High School, secondary school, they were handing out sanitary towels. Now, for me, and that government institutions that I'm going to go into and improve whatever I can, I want to help with diapers. I don't know if you know how little mothers actually can afford diapers for their newborn babies, and they only get sent home with like one pack. How long does one pack of diapers last you? So if I can just voice what I see is happening in the government institutions, and since I've been working there, I know what I'm talking about. I know who I am voicing it for. So I want to use my voice to provide the satisfactory healthcare that this country needs and help in any way that I can.
Anka, so Ku asked you who inspires you most in the world, and I think Miss Winfrey inspires so many people.
Yes.
Because she's so powerful with her thought in life. What of all the beautiful things she has done, what have you taken from it? What is the most important lesson that you have learned from the body of inspiration that Miss Winfrey has given us all?
Yeah, so it's actually funny that I said Oprah Winfrey, because during all of my mental things, when you think about who's the most important person, it's really funny. I'm surprised that I said Oprah Winfrey, but it shows you that she really taught me something. And the most important thing that she taught me is to ask the questions. If you don't know, then ask the question. Because also I ended up at the bottom 3 at one point, and I was like, okay, I don't really understand. And if you don't understand, ask. Don't just continue in doing the wrong thing, rather just ask and improve and take the advice. If you ask something, take the advice, and that is what she has taught me.
Anka, should you win Miss SA, who would be the first person that you would like to visit? Besides the sponsors, but who would be the first person you'd like to visit?
Can the sponsors buy me a flight ticket?
I said besides the sponsors.
Okay, I will get money somewhere. Oh wait, you win money. So I'll
Yes.
buy a flight ticket. I'll buy a ticket and go to my best friend who is currently working in Amsterdam. Her name is Nicola. We've known each other since the 12th of August of 2011. I'm ridiculously good with dates. Yeah, but I would go and visit her, because we have actually been talking about this dream since I was little. And you joke about it, but she always told me, Anka, I think you should be Miss South Africa. I think you should be Miss South Africa. So she's always been my biggest supporter. And she's also the one person in life who has never stopped singing with me.
Okay. So, Anka, why should you be Miss South Africa?
I'm so thankful that you asked that question because it's something that I don't think people understand how important it is to know why you should be Miss South Africa, because if you can't see it in yourself, how will others see it in you? And the why that I want to be Miss South Africa is because I am already defined. I don't need the title Miss South Africa 2023 to define me. I'm going to take who I am and give color to who Miss South Africa is. I know my identity, and I'm going to take who I am and just extend what the platform already stands for. And that's, I think, why this whole process was so good for me, because it hasn't changed who I am in any way. The 29th of May, we had our top 30 interview, and I was crying. I was singing, Siya Kudumisa. I was singing, I was dancing, I was crying. And I remember when I stepped out, I was looking at myself thinking, at the end of this process, I still want to be singing. And that's why I say, I'm already defined. I know my identity.
What do you want to be remembered for as Miss South Africa? What legacy are you going to leave behind?
My legacy that I want to leave behind is that I want to show anyone that you should never change who you are. I came in here with big curly hair. I still have my big curly hair. I came in here singing. I'm still singing. Always enhance who you are and amplify who you are. Especially when you get surrounded by strong people. Don't get intimidated to change in any way, and that's what we've been experiencing this whole time. Strong women, and I'm glad it's strong women, because you always I want to leave my legacy as someone that never changed who she was, only bettered herself, together with everyone who you get into contact with. Never change who you are. And I want them to say, I remember the first time we saw her on SABC 3 or SABC 2, she was so friendly, and now when they talk to me, they will see that it translates exactly to who I am till this day.
And what would you say has been the biggest lesson in this entire journey? I mean, yes, you haven't lost yourself, you're still who you are, but I would like to think there's a little bit of growth in there.
Yes.
So what would you say was really one of the biggest lessons you learned in this platform?
The biggest lesson I learned was honestly to actually share your vulnerability. Yes. I don't like sharing I like sharing my vulnerability. I cry very easily. But I remember the day that we did the TED Talk. I shared something that was incredibly sensitive, and I don't like talking about it. But if I can talk about it, and so the story was, you weren't there, so the story is that we were held hostage when I was 13 years old, and we were 4 women in the house and my dad. And I think it was about 5 men who came in and they held us hostage, and they threatened the women to rape us and kill us. And that was the moment actually where I had to grow up very quickly. But I learned that in order for others to be empowered, because that's one of the pillars ultimately of the platform, in order for them to be empowered, I need to share my story to empower. I can't just say, oh, look at me, I have a pretty dress, I have a beautiful smile, but I need that substance. And I never want to lose that substance. I always want to share the story, share my story, even if it isn't fun. So I learned, my biggest lesson was to share your vulnerabilities, because people relate with a story. People get empowered by a story, and especially if it's true. Real life stories are always the best tool for empowerment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Anka.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
You on action.
Can
cool.
I go first?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to know, should you win Miss SA,
Yes.
what would you like to be remembered for?
Cool. You know, honestly, I want to be remembered for the grace that I have. I'm confident, and every girl that walks in is beautiful. But I think in order to be graceful is something relatable. It's something that the public can relate to, and ultimately that's what Miss South Africa is. It's someone that can speak to whoever is in the room, and that's really the lasting legacy that I want to leave.
So I want to add on to that question. So what meaningful impact would you contribute to?
Okay, so my meaningful impact is very close to my heart, and it's related to my passion for women empowerment. You see, I come from a family of strong women. And more recently in my legal career, I was trained and mentored by strong women. My law firm is majority female based, and that's where I really learned that it takes an empowered woman to really empower other women. And that is what I want to do as a Miss South Africa. I want to be able to partner and collaborate with other organizations out there, such as 1828, Women Empowerment for Southern Africa, and just to deposit into our females today, to give them skills, basic skills, how to do their makeup, sewing, how to do their nails, because they too can go into their community and uplift their community. That is really a passion of mine, and I know that the platform for Miss South Africa will give me those avenues to do that.
Thank you.
I actually want to add on to a question because I wanted to ask you what your job as a lawyer, what it has taught you that you think would help you as a Miss SA, but I think you've already said that now. Now I want to know, what's the one thing you think that being a lawyer is not going to help you with Miss SA? What do you think you're going to have to unlearn, or you're going to struggle?
You know what?
Yes.
That is what I'm so grateful for this Crown Chasers month, this past couple of weeks, because during the process I've gotten a lot of feedback, and the common thread was that I'm a little bit too hard. And I think that is because of my background in law. We're trained to have this harsh exterior, when on the inside we're not really like that, but we need to have that to kind of, to kind of set the tone. So it's something that I'm working on, and it's something that I'm aware of now.
That's great.
And it's something that I don't want to enforce anymore. So I don't think Miss South Africa is meant to be that way, or is meant to have that harsh exterior. And I'm glad that I've recognized that now, while it's still kind of earlier days. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, because you talk about women empowerment and all these amazing things that you want to do.
Yes.
But you don't need a crown to do that. So what I wanted to know is, what attracted you to Miss South Africa organization as a whole? Why do you need the crown? What would the crown help you with more than the crown that you would have been able to accomplish without the crown?
Gert, if I look back, Miss South Africa has been a childhood dream, right? But despite that, the platform, there's no platform like Miss South Africa that really, truly empowers me so that I can deposit that. Furthermore, Miss South Africa really allows you to spread and tap into those areas that me alone, without the platform, cannot do. And that is ultimately what I want to do. Yes, I want to be a Miss South Africa, but what I want to do is tap into those communities, into those areas that I know that Miss South Africa will give me those skills and put me in the right places in order to do that.
And I hear you quit your job.
Yes.
So at the moment you're jobless, and this is one of the biggest job interviews in the country. I mean, it's the biggest job in the country.
Exactly.
And if it turns out that you don't make it through to become Miss South Africa, what is your backup plan?
My backup plan is, to be honest, Gert, I don't have a backup plan.
I love it.
So you need to win.
Yeah, so I need to win. But on a more serious note, I'm grateful for the journey that I've had in law, and I'm very grateful for that time spent. It's not time gone to waste. Although I can't tell the future, but if I do go back into law, that is an option. If I don't go back into law, there's skills that I've gained from there, and there's amazing skills that I've learned from Miss South Africa. And I'm sure that the platform, and I'm positive that the platform can put me in spaces where I can still further my passion for women empowerment. But with no plan.
Bryoni, let me ask
Yes.
you, what law would you change
Yes.
or introduce into our constitution right now to benefit young women and young girls? Or what would you change? If you had the power,
Yes.
just to change the situation for the young women in our country, the statistics and all of that. What is the one thing that you would want to reinforce and make sure it's in the government gazette tomorrow?
Yeah. You know, Bonang, for me, it is when I see any form of differences between individuals, racial, religious communities, for me that is causing segregation. So when I have to fill out a form and tick my gender, whether I'm a male or a female, that is causing some sort of segregation. So if I had the opportunity, I would eliminate that altogether. I don't believe I need to tell anyone what my gender is. I'm a human being at the end of the day. What difference is it going to make if I'm a female applying for the same job that a male is applying for? So I don't know if it's a law, but it's like an unwritten rule, some sort of practice that has been embellished in our minds.
Okay.
But that's something that I would like to change. I don't think that we need to tell anyone what's our gender.
Okay.
We are people and we are applying for the job. A man and woman can do exactly the same thing, and I don't need to tell you that I'm a woman.
And what do you say, based on what you just said, what do you say to a certain group of people who feel like actually it would be a disadvantage? Because when you're talking about male or female, then obviously we need to discuss the fact that on a normal form you must say whether you're African, you're Indian, you're colored, you're white,
Yes.
because those are the issues we're currently facing in the country. Like you're saying, it causes segregation, and obviously then you get called in for an interview based on what you had to tick. So what do you say to somebody who says, but yeah, there's a little bit of privilege that comes along with that. Why should we lose that? How do you motivate what you're saying now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bukan, you know, it makes me so angry, if I'm being very honest with you. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. But unfortunately, you know, South Africa has had a history. And in order to take steps to reform from that, we need to put measures in place to kind of make the playing fields level, to kind of make it equal again. So as much as I hate it and as much as I feel that it is unfair to tick what race I am, in order to kind of fix what has been happening in the past, we kind of need to take steps in that direction in order to bring the playing field back to par again. That's what I think.
I have quite a spicy question for you.
Yes, I'm ready.
She loves spice.
I love spice, that's true.
So recently in South Africa, we've had a lot of debate and social media rackers going on about the LGBTQ plus happening in campaigns in different retail stores. Do you think, one, it is fair for a trans person to enter a platform like Miss South Africa? Do you think it would be a fair competitive advantage where we look at sport and all the talks that's going around that, and so many people have opinions versus, and also, what would you do as a Miss South Africa, depending on your answer, to swing it either way you think it should be?
That's a spicy one. You know, me standing here represents diversity, represents inclusivity, and represents equity. And that is exactly what this platform does. For me now, to go and discriminate against someone because of their choice on who they want to identify as will go completely against the platform that Miss South Africa has built. So, coming back to your answer is that I wouldn't change it, because at the end of the day, it's not about what we look like on the outside. It's not about how long our hair is, the color of our skin, but it's about what you bring. And I would encourage that, because that's a person being authentic to who they are. That's a person that is that is exemplifying the notion of equality, diversity, and equity, and that is exactly what we stand for.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Bryoni. Unfortunately, I'm sorry if the judges have any more questions. I have to be a bad guy today. Your time is up. Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for your time.
Bryoni.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, darling.
Thank you.
Hey, Homa.
Hello.
So I've got two exciting questions for you.
Summer two. Love it.
What I want to know is two things. What is your life motto, and what is the best advice you have ever been given?
Okay, so my life motto is that you're bold, you're expansive, and no societal archetype can fit your mold. Why that resonates with me is because I love putting myself in places and experiences that aren't necessarily built for me. I love challenging myself, and in that I really find my strength in really pushing myself. A motto that motivates me, something that I can relate to, is every no is one step closer to your yes. That means that I can, again, relate back to what I personally can relate to. And yeah, those are the two mottos that I really, really find that give me really that passion to do the things in my life.
Thank you.
Omba, I want to challenge you a bit. We've been hearing all these things about Woolies and Pride Month, and it's a subject that keeps on coming up. So I would like to know, how would you advocate for the rights and well-being of individuals from the LGBTQ plus community during your reign as Miss SA?
Okay. So, during my reign as Miss South Africa, I'd first like to say with my chest that I'm part of the community.
Amazing.
And I won't lie, it hasn't been an easy journey. Coming onto a platform like Miss South Africa, again, it's the mold that has been shaped by society means that a woman like me is not really seen in a space like this. So I understand the gravity of what I'm doing here. I'm showing young girls that their dreams are possible, that you don't necessarily have to look like all the other girls to come here, to come to a platform like this, and you can be yourself truly and authentically with all the grace and power that you have, that you can stand on the stage and just really present yourself as raw as possible. Now, what I would do as your Miss South Africa is I would start educational programs, because I think we really lack that in South Africa. We've come really far, don't get me wrong, but where I come from, it's still a taboo, and I want to change that for the kids that have grown up where I've grown up. And I speak from my own experience. It has not been easy, and I'm still facing my mother, which is something that I will be quite open and honest with you guys right now. Because I'm on a public platform right now, I had to come out to my mom, and I'm still facing extreme backlash. So I would love to, with all my entire heart, make sure that when we speak about the community and being queer and being a part of the LGBTQ, is that we do it from a place of love, and we do it from a place of passion and sensitivity. And that's the messaging that I would push as your Miss South Africa for 2023.
Thank you so much.
Very beautiful and very brave of you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, just because you relate to this topic, what do you think about trans men competing in female sporting categories?
Okay. Funny enough, this is a topic I'm slightly well versed in, being a sports scientist. So what I truly believe is that you do have the ability to participate, because at the end of the day, you are a woman. So in my own opinion, and this is still again in my own opinion, that women, as long as you identify as a woman, So as long as you identify as a woman, you do have a place in that sport. That's not a barrier for you, and as long as you can play the sport fairly and abide by the rules, then nothing should stop women in participating in the sport.
So based on your, based on your experience and everything that you've been experiencing, and with family, this and that, what would you say to your 10-year-old self? What would you say to her? What is it that you know now that you wish you had known back then?
Okay. What I would say to my 10-year-old self is, I'm so proud of you for being yourself, for walking in your own truth, and for never conforming. I'd look at my 10-year-old self in the eye and I would smile. I'd really just enjoy being present with her, really holding her hand, and just making sure that she feels loved, that she feels seen. Because it's something that I didn't feel like I found in my society. So seeing that from myself as the woman that I am now, as the womanhood I've walked, and you guys have seen me be the woman standing in front of you, I think I, as a 10-year-old girl, truly appreciate that from myself.
Who's the most inspirational person that you've ever met, and why?
the most inspirational person that I've met is my physics teacher in grade 10. Her name was Mrs. van der Pfeiffer, and she left me with words that I use every single day. And she said to me, happy for happy, bit by bit. And I've taken that and just applied it to every single circumstance. It means that no matter how big the mountain it is that you're facing, if you're able to look at it and attack it small steps, tiny bit by tiny bit, eventually you'll get to your end goal.
What's the best book you've ever read?
Ooh, the best book that I've ever read. The best book that I've ever read was a book by Cal Newport called, now it's forgotten.
It's fine, you can just tell me about
Oh, okay, I can tell you about the book.
Tell me about what the book taught you.
Okay, so the book has taught me how to work hard. It's a book about being yourself and what social media can do for you. It's a book that inspired me to work hard and to beat my own dyslexia and to make sure that I'm centered and focused in achieving my goals, especially when it comes to academic goals. So yeah, that's the book that really has inspired me. It's called Deep Work by Cal Newport. There we go. Yes. Gosh.
Now, I want to know, what steps do you think can be taken to promote women's representation in arts and in sports and in media?
Okay. So the steps that can be taken to promote women in arts, in sports and in media is first by showing women about what it is that they can do. If you give a woman the tools that they can, if you give a woman the tools that they need to achieve, then of course then they'll step into their own. They'll step into their own success. And another thing that I really truly believe in is the power of representation. If you're able to see women achieve the things that they have achieved, then you've unlocked their minds. You've given them mental tools to achieve. And again, I can't necessarily reiterate how important it is to step into your power. So if you are represented and you feel seen in sport, you feel seen in media, and you feel seen in your own spaces, then you have the ability, you have the tools. Before you can do something, you need to envision yourself. So if you can see yourself in someone else, then you're already halfway there.
You can go.
So should you win Miss SA, who would be the first person that you would visit, and what is the first thing that you would buy?
Is my mom around? The first person I would visit is my mom. And the second person, if that's allowed, that I would visit would be my gran. The reason why I would visit my gran is because I know how hard it's been for her in terms of just having an enjoyable life and just having access to just simple things like running water, having access to food and all sorts of things like that. So I'd go home back to a Transkei and just make sure that she's got all the things that she's ever wanted, because I can finally provide those things for her.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Well done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
That
you.
was wonderful.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well done.
Hello again.
Welcome back, Jordan.
So Jordan, can I jump right into it?
Please.
South Africa is known for its diverse cultures and heritage. How do you plan to promote and celebrate the country's rich cultural diversity during your reign as Miss South Africa?
Oh, well, that would be very easy because I am all for supporting local. I don't think that I have used a designer that's not from Cape Town, which is where I'm from, in the past 3 or more years. I plan on wearing only local designers because I am a model, I do have a fashion background, and Miss South Africa is a fashion icon. So that is one way that I would love to promote the cultural diversity, promoting South African designers. Okay.
Jordan, if you had an opportunity to have coffee with 3 people, which 3 people would you choose and why?
3 people?
Yes.
Well, I always revert back to Audrey Hepburn. She herself was an icon and she had such incredible humanitarian work She did charity work right up until her death. She had a horrible death of stomach cancer, and yet she still maintained that heart for other people. So she's definitely number one. Number two, I'd like to sit down with the president. I'd like to sit down with Cyril Ramaphosa, and I'd like to discuss some things. I have a lot of ideas on how to improve this country, and whether he likes them or not, I would still really like to share those ideas with him. And last, but certainly not least, I think I would like to sit down with one of my icons, and that's Claudia Schiffer. I have looked up to her since I was very young. I've always wanted to be a model. It was something that I always wanted to do until the purpose left, and that's when I started my own company. But still, I looked up to her for such a long time, and so I really would love to find out, what did she do in her career? How did she excel? How did she become one of the model icons of the world? So that would be my third, yes.
Please tell me, Jordan, what is your why? Why are you here? Why do you want to be Miss South Africa? What do you want to do with it? What is your why?
Yes, I have a why, and I would love to share it with you. So here it goes. It comes with a backstory. My backstory is that I've been a model for 13 years. I have been working for 13 years, since I was 15 years old. So I have a lot of experience in the fashion industry, and a lot of experience with exclusion, because we know that the fashion industry, all of us fashion icons, we know that the fashion industry can be very exclusive. And that's when I started seeing that something needs to be done. From a young age, I was excluded, I was bullied, I was ran away from, I don't know what the correct term there is, but I was bullied from a very young age. And so I experienced exclusion, but then I didn't realize that that would continue as an adult. And then there I was in my fashion industry, and realizing that it's even worse, it's even more rife out here in the big world. And so that brought me to realize that I want to make inclusivity my advocacy. And so last year I started a company with a friend of mine to democratize the fashion industry. We have yet to launch. All the business owners can testify that it takes a long time to launch a company, but we are right at the point of launching, and we want to help up and coming creatives to get into the fashion industry, to get those contacts, because it's a very exclusive industry. But I want to take that further, and that's why I'm here at Miss South Africa. So I want to take that into schools. When we were at Fanny High School this week, I spoke to an actress, I spoke to a dentist, a pediatrician, I spoke to a surgeon and a nurse. And these women, these young women have so much potential. And that potential may be robbed from them as soon as they leave high school, because they are not given the tools on how to get there. I was getting asked questions, oh, but how do I even just start? Where do I go? Where do I study? They don't know. And I want to take this inclusivity and broaden that, put it into schools, do workshops in schools, and tell them the basics of why, of how, and give them connections to get into the career that they want to get into.
Jordan, you said you want to sit down with Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
It would be.
What's one of the things you said you have many ideas? So we know that you're passionate about this now.
I love that you're asking that.
But can you tell me what's the main
issue.
thing you first want to tell him that he must do with this country?
Nandy, I'm actually glad that you asked that question, because one of my ideas goes back into my advocacy, and that is obviously, as I said, inclusivity. So why the president? Why not someone else? Why not another minister, like the Minister of Education? Because I feel that it starts at the top and it trickles down. So if we start at the top with the president and chat to him and say to him, I need workshops in schools. When I was looking for organizations who put those kind of workshops into schools, I had my work cut out for me. I couldn't find one. And that to me was very sad, because I think that this is such a big need. And you think, oh, I came from the high school I came from. I didn't have that problem. I knew how to get into the big world. We had people come to our school and tell us, oh, this is what you can do. This is my university. This is what we have to offer. These kids don't have that, and they get forgotten. And so I would like to say to him, we need to broaden that investment into the schools that don't have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more
No,
questions?
I wanted my spicy question was I wanted to hear what is these big ideas. So I'm so
what's the
glad
big
that I
idea?
asked it.
Yeah.
But I feel like what is the most craziest idea
Yeah.
of all these ideas? That is very much PC. Like what is there that we haven't thought about
Yes.
that you would like to talk to him about?
I have to disagree with you, Kat. For me, it's not PC. I have such a love and I have such a passion for teenagers. So I just do have to say that I really want to catch teenagers before they enter adult life. So that's why I do want to get into high schools and not like start at the grassroots level, for example. But what's a crazy idea? The load shedding crisis. Yes, I have ideas of hydrogen energy. I know that we are sitting on a gold mine of platinum. I know that doesn't really sound like something, but we are. We're sitting on so much platinum deposits, and that is the catalyst that we use in hydrogen fuel cells. So we have the potential to create renewable energy using platinum as a catalyst, and we can actually solve the load shedding situation, and it will also be renewable.
Thank you.
If
Jordan,
you-
sorry,
Yeah,
go. What would you say to your 10-year-old self? What advice would you give to your 10-year-old self?
Don't listen to them. Don't listen to who's them. You know, when you say, they say, who's they? It's the people you come across. It's the people who tell you when you're 18 years old and you're thin as a rake that you need to lose 2 centimeters. Don't listen to them. It's the people who tell you because you're not working, you're not good enough. Don't listen to them. I want to tell my 10-year-old self, just keep what you have. You've grown up in a loving home. You've grown up with unconditional love and support. Please don't listen to them because it took me so long to get that out of my mind.
Thank you,
All right,
Jordan.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jordan. That is your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kia. Hi. I'm going to kick off. Okay. I would like to know from you, throughout your Crown Chasers journey, what have you learned about yourself and how has it shaped your aspirations and goals?
Sure. Firstly, I've learned quite a lot about myself. Number one being my resilience. I know that I've been in bottom three times, but each and every single time I've fought every single week to try and kick back harder and harder and harder to come back. Secondly, the beginning of this year, right, I was kind of in my psychologist's office and I was diagnosed with anxiety. So I know that every single time I walked here, you guys said, give us like a little bit softer, and not knowing the reason I was so hard was because I was fighting something deeper in me. But today I walked out of here and I said, listen, anxiety ain't got nothing on me. I have to go out there and walk with confidence because Miss South Africa is somebody who is not just here for herself. And is not just here to deal with herself, but has to deal with people. So that's definitely what I've learned throughout Crown Chasers, and I'm going to take it forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you spoke about people, right? So why do you think sisterhood is so important?
Sure, sisterhood is very important for a lot of reasons, but one of my biggest one is upliftment. I've seen how we on the stage have carried each other. I've seen how we've carried each other each and every single time after an episode, a hard episode, an elimination. We'd go back and say, you know what, we've got this. Even though one of our sisters has gone home, we check up and say, are you okay? Is everything all right? What do you need? What can we still help you with? So one of the biggest things that I know are important about sisterhood is that upliftment that we bring all together, that we hold each other, that we support each other, whatever our endeavors are, even if just one person wins this crown, which only one person is going to win this crown, that we hold each other and we uplift each other as women. We are so much more than just whatever society has put on us. We are people that hold each other and dearly and closely.
Now tell me, Gia, what is your why? Why are you here? Why Miss South Africa? What are you going to do with it? Why?
Bokang, you actually asked me this question in top 30, and I did say one of the biggest reasons why I came back to Miss South Africa is because I felt like I was not done.
there's a child in Itu saying, where I come from, that is looking to me and saying, you know, I'm about to lose hope. I'm about to give into my circumstances. I'm about to give into this environment. And he's going to look at me on the stage and say, absolutely not. She could do it, so can I. And I'm going after my dreams. My biggest why is to empower those children. And with that, I would love to bring my literacy project alive. And that is to bring books into townships so that kids can dream beyond their circumstances. They can see themselves on those pages and say, I can do this. You know, I can walk out into this world and be exactly what I see in these pages, be exactly what I can see on those screens, and fight for my dreams. I am beyond just here. I am there too, and I belong there.
Sorry, Bonang, do you want that?
Kia, you know, you are an educator, and obviously your role is to educate others. Could you share a lesson that maybe your students have taught you?
Sure. One of the biggest lessons that my students have taught me is learning to respect people, even if sometimes you don't accept who they are or what they bring to the table. And in saying that, it's, for me, right, people, can I just breathe?
Okay.
sorry, I'm going far. Okay, one of the biggest lessons that my kids have taught me is to really, really accept people. And no, I'm going too far. One of the biggest things and lessons my students have taught me is to respect people, even if I do not accept who they are or what they bring to the table or what they have to say. It's about respect. At the end of the day, each and every single one of us as humans have a need and a desire to belong, a need, a desire to be seen, and to be seen for so much more than who we are, our core. And that is bye-bye the accolades, bye-bye the degrees, bye-bye this and that I've gotten in the world. But look at me at my core, and that speaks to respecting every single human being. I don't have to accept your sexuality. I don't have to accept your gender, but I need to respect it.
I want to know, this is your second time around, and I watched the first time I was there, and you really impressed me with your thought and the way you speak about passions of yours.
Yes.
But I want to know, what has changed in you? What's different from the Kia that we saw 2 years ago standing on the stage?
A year.
Versus the Kia that we're seeing right in front of us right now. What changed in you? What's different? What more can you add to this platform?
When I came on this platform last year, I was fresh out of a new country. 2 days later, I'm in Miss South Africa, and I had to perform and perform. I was really out of touch with what is happening in South Africa, and that's what has changed. I went back and I worked on myself. I worked in my community. I worked in projects that I'm passionate about that deal with kids, boy kids, girl kids, just each and every single type of child that there is imaginable. And that for me was when my why sparked. I then found my purpose and my being in the literacy and the problem that we have in South Africa with our literacy. And I said, I'm going back to Miss South Africa because I need a platform to make this louder. I need a platform for people to look at me and say, wait, hold on, that's the literacy girl. When people walk in government and people are looking for somebody who's going to give children hope in terms of this, they think about me, they think about Miss South Africa and this exact project that it is that I want to start.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
You spoke about the little girl in you that you have to prove something to almost. What are you going to do to comfort that little girl if you happen to not win?
You know, I have comfort already in knowing that I hold on to my dreams and I run and I execute well. I try my best to execute well. So the little girl in me is comforted already by standing on the stage and coming back a second time around. it is not easy to come back and actually try and prove yourself the second time around. It's definitely not easy, and it's probably harder than the first time around. But I will say that the little girl in me is comforted. I'm scared as is, I'm shaking, my anxiety is on fire, but that little girl in me says, I'm proud of you, you've got this, you did it, and I'm really proud.
So speaking about a little girl, what advice would you give to your 10-year-old self?
You exist in your fullness. I think as a 10-year-old, I really tried to shy away from a lot of the things that I was. I grew up in a township, but I had to straddle kind of every weekend. I'm in Itsoseng, which is the township I grew up in, and coming to Johannesburg. And I had to straddle both of those worlds and kind of shy away from that Kasi girl, but they also ignite that Kasi girl when I go back to Itsoseng. So I want to tell her to exist in your fullness. It's okay to be both those things. It's okay to live in a society where you are from Kasi. And also on the weekdays you go to Boksburg, you know, it's very okay. And it's also okay to twang your English.
Melissa.
Hello, judges. Once
Welcome
again.
back.
Thank you.
It's always nice to see you.
Thank you.
Now, Melissa, you are a film and TV producer, correct? If you had to put a series together about the Republic of South Africa,
Yeah.
what would you call it, and where would it be shot?
Absolutely.
And why?
So one of my favorite speakers and writers, Ms. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, she says the danger of a single story is that you only see people as one thing and in one voice. And I think being a creative and a writer, often in my industry, I've seen a lot of people literally speak in one voice about South Africa, about a certain group of the marginalized people, and that is the biggest problem that we face. So I feel like, especially with my message, when I speak about xenophobia, I think it's often misunderstood as if I'm saying South Africa is xenophobic, and it's absolutely not. My journey here has been very challenging, to say the least, and thank you so much for your critique and your advice coming into this. And I will admit, the spark did die. And this was based on the fact that there's been a lot of bullying that has come across with me standing here today. But the spark is dead? Absolutely not. But it can always be reignited, and it will come back with a fire. And if I were to produce a film for South Africa, it would be showcasing the true South Africa, all of South Africa, and I would blatantly call it proudly South African, absolutely produced in South Africa and showcased on a global platform, because I believe people need to see who we are for who we truly are, and we cannot take accountability for those with negative opinions about us and to show us in a negative light. I am proudly South African, I am proudly Ugandan, and I want to tell our story authentically as it is. Thank you.
Okay.
So if you had to have coffee with 3 people, 3 inspirational people, who would you choose?
Thank you so much for that, crew. And I think for me, the biggest one, as cliche as it may sound, it is my mother. I have watched her as I've grown up, carry strength to love, to be kind, and to literally take the punches that not only my dad faced, but we faced as a family. She's proud of who she is. She is proud and owned her decisions in life, and that is who has made me the woman I am today. The second one, absolutely Mr. Nelson Mandela, the late Nelson Mandela. He took courage in standing up for his own message. Some people did not agree with him, and that is why I'm standing here today. Many may think that my dreams are hopeless and it may not be achieved easily, but I absolutely believe that it can. Everything starts with the single steps. Everything starts with courage. And I've taken the punches. I'm willing to roll with the punches, but I'm proud to be here because I realize Miss South Africa is not just about me. This is about a legacy, not for this generation, but a heritage and legacy we want to leave for future generations as well. Yes, absolutely, I'll admit, I am human first. It has been challenging, but I'm not knocked down. And that's why I come back here every week to try fight harder to remain in this position. Because with those who try to silence me, I will not allow it. My message is important. I do belong on this stage. My message does belong on this stage. And I've been here 4 times. I'm probably the most experienced Miss South Africa out of everybody here. I just don't know when to give up. But that is something I'm also very proud about. I'm not ashamed about coming back here time and time and time again, because I believe my voice matters. It is not a specific girl that wins. It is a message that needs to be highlighted. And I believe mine does deserve this space and this voice, because in the 3 years I was gone, I have not seen someone who is like me. And my message is essentially about belonging. It's not just about xenophobia. It's about anyone who's been marginalized by race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, the color of your skin. And mine's been tougher because I do match your skin tone, but still you're discriminating against something you cannot see. And that's what makes this so important for me to stand here. I do not need validation. I simply need representation.
If you had to have a conversation with someone that's visually impaired and they couldn't see you at all, they don't know what you look like, they have no point of reference, what's the 3 things you would want them to take from you and to say that this is what I took from this human being?
Yes, I truly believe that people do not react to what we say, but how we make them feel. They say people act based on how we feel, and how we feel is influenced by how we think. And Ms. Judufatso Mitsita said it so beautifully in 2020 when she was crowned to say the mind is the powerhouse. I think the legacy I want to leave behind here is kindness, it's love, it's dignity. And that's what I'd want people to feel. Not anyone can speak. I could tell you about this and that. However, if I leave you feeling respectful of yourself, of your journey, to give you confidence to step out there as yourself, that is all I'd want to leave with someone. Thank you.
Thank you.
What would you say to your 10-year-old self? Based on the journey you have walked, where you are now, the challenges you have faced, the bullying you have received, what would you say to her? What is it that you know now that you wish you knew years ago?
Thank you so much for that, Bogang. I'd definitely tell myself that you are human first. I think with any job, especially with mine, in anywhere you walk into, you may believe that I have to show up as a superwoman. I am strong. I do not show vulnerability. But I think once you give yourself grace to understand that you are human first, you can lead then with courage, with empathy. Because you also need to forgive yourself for a lot of things. There's no such thing as perfection. And from my journey, throughout this journey, I think it has taught me that. It has humbled me to be like, Melissa, you're not so perfect. You're not as strong as you thought you were. You don't have to show up and just always be prim and proper. Just be yourself. And I think with these 2 weeks where I really have struggled, I appreciate them. And I mean that in the sincerest way of I've been humbled. And from there, I can only take it and just grow stronger from there. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on sisterhood?
Absolutely. Absolutely a big fan. Power to the sisterhood, probably bigger than me. I have my hair all the time. But I think it's such an important thing because we've been on this journey. We started off with 30 women. It went down to 12, and now there's 8 of us. And I think with every morning that we have woken up, where I'm not just with just any type of typical girl, whatever. The conversations have been about societal change. The conversations have been about us empowering each other, supporting each other in our causes. And we're the only ones who really understand how challenging this place is. And it's been so beautiful to see how much we've embraced each other, how much we've supported each other. I mean, we sit and we discuss, okay, maybe go do this, maybe go do that. And that's where our strength comes from. Women are powerhouses. We are absolutely powerful. I mean, you've got 8 women right now standing, daring to change the world, and I'm very proud to be one of them.
Okay. I'm happy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seems like the judges are happy.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Cheers. Nandy. Hello. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Good to see you. Now, Nandy, my question for you is why should you be the next Miss South Africa?
Thank you for the question, Bonang. I think I should be the next Miss South Africa because I represent a modern woman. I believe that I represent all facets of a woman. I'm fun, I'm quirky, I can be serious when I need to be serious, and I know what I bring to the table more than anything. And I believe that young people who look at me will automatically see what it is that they can achieve. I can't change their situations, but I can change the way that they think. And I know my superpower is being strategic. That's how I made it here. I didn't grow up in the best circumstances, but because I could see something bigger, and I didn't look at the TV as just a TV. I looked at it as a portal for my imagination. I was like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's something I embody. And I know that it's something that when I speak to young women, they see it. And I want to impart that. And that's why I believe that I should be the next Miss South Africa.
Can I go next?
Yes,
Nandy.
It's Nandy.
Nandy, sorry. Thank you for correcting me. In your opinion, what uniqueness and specialness do you bring to this year's Miss South Africa, and what do you think is different to you than all the other Miss South Africas that there have ever been? What is your differentiating factor?
My differentiating factor is how I can learn and how I'm able to take any circumstance, be it good or bad, and make it work for me. I can rise up and I can learn, I can listen to critique and figure out a way to make it unique to me and bring myself into it. I can't say that there's a difference between, there is obviously a difference between me and the former Miss SAs, but we all have one thing in common, which is wanting a change. And my uniqueness is me being myself. I fortunately cannot be anything else but myself. Zozi, she knows me outside of being serious, and that's the uniqueness I bring, myself, my essence, me being able to embrace my story, where I come from, the different things about me. I don't take myself too seriously. I want to have fun, and I want women to understand that that is our superpower, having fun, embracing ourselves, embracing our stories, and being unique, and still being able to learn from the women that were there before us. Before I came here, I obviously studied the former Miss SAs, and even the runner-ups as well. I looked at Miss Universes as well, and I took little things that I could learn from them. So I wouldn't say, I think that one thing about Miss SA, we all have there's a golden thread that we all have, that uniqueness that we all have, right? But it's because we are all very much ourselves. So unfortunately, that will have to be my answer. Myself, me being unique, me being different, is what makes me different from every single person that has come on the stage and tried to become Miss South Africa.
Okay. Nandy, so if you had to choose 3 people,
yes,
inspirational people, who would you choose and why to have coffee with?
To have coffee with? My mom, Michelle Obama, and Beyonce. I think my roommate Natasha knows Beyonce like the back of her hand now, because that was my imagination on TV. That's who I imagined myself being, and everything that was happening around me didn't matter. I was like, I'm going to be Beyonce. She can do it, I can do it. Michelle Obama, because she owns the story very much. She always talks about her parents, her dad very fondly. I know her dad. I've never met him, he passed away, but I know her dad and the things that he taught her, and growing up in Chicago, what that did for her. And so what it did for me, whenever she spoke about her story in herself, I started looking at my story, I started looking at where I came from, and I was like, what makes me different? This is what makes me different. My dad spending time with me, I was a big daddy's girl. The first time I got my period, my dad was there, and he's the one that I spoke to about it. And me being able to just see that line and being like, okay, my mom going through the abuse, my mom leaving home, leaving me when I was younger, these are the things that make me who I am. And I shouldn't be ashamed of them. I should speak proudly about them. And that's what she taught me. And my mommy, because my mom's amazing. My mom, I always say my mom, yeah, Papa, in Costa's like, she likes things. She's a liker of things. She likes things. She got married when she was 16. Her and my dad were walking in the mall. She saw a ring. She said, I like the ring. And then they decided they'd get married, and they did. And then they had us. And she's been through a lot. But the one thing that we always laugh about now is whenever I'm going through a bad day and I call her, I'm like, Mom, like I had a really bad day. And then she's like, but tomorrow's another day. Like tomorrow's another day for you to start over. And even when the abuse was happening with my dad, my mom would always wake up with a smile. I would never know. I'd even forget what had happened the night before, because she'd be laughing, she'd be smiling, she'd go to work. And she was just a superwoman. And so I talk about it, all the girls know my mom, all the girls have spoken to my mom on the phone, because she really is a superwoman to me. She's made me who I am today, and those are the 3 people that I would have coffee with.
So you've identified 3 women.
Yes.
So what's your belief on sisterhood?
I believe greatly on sisterhood. You can learn a lot from your sisters. And the sisters are there to uplift you. When you're having a bad day and when you feel like you can't do it anymore, they're there for that. They're there to uplift you. My friends are always my number 1 go-to. I have my best friend, we've been friends for 14 years. I always tell the story that I was at the bus stop. We had just moved to Simonstown, and she held my hand and she said, oh no, I know where the bus is. I'll go on the bus and I'll show you your class. And she's like, I've got you. That was the word she gave me the first day we met. And she still has me to this day. And I see her as my sister, not just my friend. And so sisterhood for me is that person who says, I've got you. I will hold your hand through it all.
You spoke earlier of you being able to take any bad thing and turn it into a blessing, or let it work for you, right? What would you say is your weakest characteristic, and how will you change that so that it becomes one of your best?
It could be walking fast and speaking fast. I'm joking. My weakest characteristic is how hard I am on myself. This week, I found out that every time before I came on stage, I was actually having panic attacks. I did not know this. And so I spoke to the SADC lady. We have a SADC that we speak to. And she was like, oh, my darling, you're describing a panic attack. And I was like, wow. And she was like, the only reason why this is happening is because you're so hard on yourself. And she's given me a few techniques to go through. And I can speak on this because it's something that I'm going through right now. What I am doing are affirmations in the morning. I'm telling myself that I'm good enough, I can do it. And if I'm not, I'm just much more kind on myself. I actually wake up and I say, today you're going to be kinder to yourself. You're going to have compassion for yourself, the same compassion you have for everyone else. And so me being hard on myself, going forward, it's just a reminder for me to be compassionate with myself and to understand that it's, you know, it's not a race. You know, it's a marathon. Take your time. Like, you can do this.
Yes.
What would you say to your 10-year-old self? What is the one thing that you know now that you wish you had known since you were a little girl?
I would say that it gets better. Like, this situation that's going on around you doesn't define you. You actually really are an amazing person and you're fun. And you loving books and being a nerd is actually going to help you in your life. And you shouldn't be ashamed of who your parents are. You shouldn't be ashamed of where you come from. You shouldn't want to be anyone else but yourself. Your deep voice is actually really great. Your smile is going to be great. And more than anything, you're actually going to become a model. The selfies that you're taking, there was no lighting. Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Nandy.
you.
That is your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
darling.
Well done.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Natasha.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Natasha, should you win Miss SA, what would you like to be remembered for? I'm going to ask you two questions. I'll ask you the second question after you answer the first.
Okay, perfect. So I've had quite the interesting journey to start off with, and I feel like some of the judges sitting on this panel, I've heard it before, but back in 2020, I actually entered for the first time. And so I was second runner-up, ultimately. Went to Miss Universe to represent South Africa after Zosie, having to vie for that back-to-back. And so, you know, we've done so well after that 3 years, 2017, 2018, and 2019, snatching 2 crowns. And, you know, my result wasn't, I wouldn't say the desired outcome that I really wanted. And so I come back and I stand here and I think to myself, I'm like, yo, Natasha, why did you do this to yourself again, right? And I really have to say, I am currently building on a legacy. You know, I remember when I typed a caption for Zosie actually going to Miss Universe, I said, I want to build on that legacy. Always thinking I need that crown in order to do that. But I think in these past 3 years, I showed myself, and I think maybe to other people as well, that I've started to build on it already. So standing here, I don't really want to do it when I win the crown. I've already started. So when back in 2016, I was actually first year having to study. My parents did not have the funds to do that for me. And I did pageants growing up. Every single weekend would found myself on the stage in a dress, winning bursaries to put myself through my studies. How many of South Africans don't sit in a similar situation? Many of us. And so I actually went back to my college that gave that bursary to me. And I'm really, really proud of standing here saying that I've arranged bursaries for people to study already. I know Gert is also busy with something similar. So it's not a matter of what legacy do I want to leave or build when I win. I feel like I've already been granted some sorts of opportunities and some sort of platform. And so I really wanted to put in the work before coming back and not stand here saying, this is what I want to do. But people ask, you've been Miss Universe South Africa before. What did you do with that? So yes, I would continue with that. And I know with everything that I do, I want to enable others.
My second question to you is, going through the Crown Chasers process, what is one thing that you're going to walk away with, that you've learned?
Yo, what a humble experience. It's been challenging, I'll be very honest. I think when Gert actually did say, like, you are so over-prepared, don't be over-prepared, I was like, nothing, not even Miss Universe could have prepared me for this. This is completely new, and I would say the one thing I've really taken away is how strong my vulnerability really is. You know, sitting on that chair, having to speak on so many life events that scarred me, like truly was traumatic. When I take it back to speaking on the passing of my father at 16, or losing our family home when I was only 13, it's really, really hard to speak on those matters. And so I know sitting there, in order for South Africans to connect, you really need to share those vulnerabilities. There's so much power in coming together with our stories, and I know so many South Africans are going through similar things. So I think it was almost like owning that vulnerability and saying, like, this is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And so it's pushing me also towards a side of almost being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know it sounds a lot. And so I'm here to really challenge myself even more, grow even more. And even when Gert did say to not be so prepared, to always leave that room to grow. So yeah, it's amazing so far.
Thank you.
What would you say to that little girl who lost her home at 13, who lost her dad at 16, and had no idea this is how things would be? What is it that you know now that you wish you had known at that age when it seemed like everything was falling apart?
And I really appreciate your question, actually. Honestly, life is all about second chances. I'm standing here and I'm busy turning a test into a testimony. And I would tell her that you always get to choose, because that's exactly what I did. Regardless of the circumstances that was laid out for Natasha, I always chose. And I think that's so important. It's a powerful message. Yeah, it's not being a product of those circumstances, but being a product of the choices that you make.
Natasha, what advice would you give to people to overcome major disappointment? What would your best advice be to somebody that has got such a big life thing that they put so much dream and effort into, to kind of ease the blow and ease the pain?
Good question. What a personal one. Now reflecting back, especially with everything that transpired at Miss Universe and having to deal with that disappointment, I would say is to leave room for those disappointments, but still have the expectation. You know, so many people say, don't expect because you will be disappointed. When in actual fact, I'm like, no, I expect because I want to grow, I want to push myself. I want to be better than I was yesterday. But also just mentally knowing that it's okay to be disappointed afterwards. It's been mentally very tough. You know, afterwards I had to start seeing a psychologist, still seeing her today. Really, really proud of really adapting that mindset, coming back and saying, putting myself and my mental health first, but I'm also able to do the job. And it's really reassuring knowing that your mind is your greatest asset.
Thank you.
Right. I'm going to shoot with something different.
Okay.
If you could be God for one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Won't be that.
How
Wow.
would you, but how would you change the world?
Wow. I want to stay Natasha. Like I feel like, I'll be very honest, I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve. I was standing here getting the feedback, feeling like very prim, very proper, and I'm like, this is not fully who I am. Like, I'm quirky, I'm funny, like I make dry jokes when I get on stage, and that's just who I am. And so in this interview, I was like, no, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to show people really who I am. You know, I really, really want to show people that warmth, that lovingness. And so I would say, if I could, the question is right to, if you could change something.
Yeah, if you were God for one day,
if I could
how
change,
would you change the world if you were God for one day?
almost turning the perception around about perfection and swapping it with imperfection. Because I feel like we get so scrutinized so easily. I'm standing here, I'm on this almost pedestal, and there's a lot of expectation, but I wish people could actually see the strength in being vulnerable and kind of making mistakes and not being perfect and not doing your best turn or touching your dress or You know, for me, it's almost been there's no room for mistakes, and it's sad if you think about that.
Yeah.
It's almost like people are waiting for me to make a mistake, and I'm waiting for myself to make that mistake. So I wish people could be a little bit more accepting. So to adapt people's mindsets for a day would be top of the list. Would be nice.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Natasha.
you,
Is that
Tess.
it?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
No, we run out of time. Sorry, my love.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Really
Thank
thank you
you.
for your
Thank
time.
you, sweetheart.
Welcome back, contestants. Well done on such a successful day. I think we can all agree that it has been quite successful. You had your judges panel interview, and now they want to give back some feedback. And so, Bryoni, let's start with you.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Bryoni. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good,
How are you?
good. Thank you very much for your speech with us earlier. Just quick feedback. I thought you were very relatable. You know, earlier when we spoke to you, I love that. Although I did feel sometimes your answers weren't full. They, you didn't really close off your point of view. You know, a lot of the questions left me still yearning for more. Sort of like an anchored, concrete, just perspective of what you think about, you know, issues in general. I thought you were amazing, very conversational, but just, yeah, that was my only negative.
I think on my side, it's your interview was good. However, I still want a little bit of personality in there. You know, I know we spoke about this earlier in the lawyer hat on and but I still want to know that irrespective of which type of an environment I put you in, you're just literally going to, you know, and so I think for me that was that, but it was great answers, and
I thought you answered your questions really well. The only advice I would give you, you know, you're so passionate about women empowerment. You just needed to demonstrate it.
That's it.
That's always the thing for me with these talks. When you give an answer, I will go back to what I said right in the beginning. If you can make it more practical, and how you can actually put this into practice, then just answering something because you've been rehearsing it or experiencing it, and it's a general note for me. Always think of how you can literally make it practical. But you carried yourself very well, and I love listening to you.
thank you.
I think you were stunning. Perhaps a little bit too PC for me. I would prefer to see more depth and texture into your own life, just to bring across more relatable experiences for somebody like me that didn't study law, just so that I can also relate to you and be captured by your beauty in and out.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bryoni. Kia, please get ready to make your way through.
Kia, you answered your questions really well. My only advice to you again would be just to take a deep breath.
Yes.
Yes. And don't be afraid to pause and then answer. But I thought you answered your questions really well as well.
I think you had a good interview. However, I think, you know, when you're given a limited time, I think then you try so hard to say everything all at once because you have so many things happening in your head. There's so many things you want to share. And I think that's exactly what Ku's saying. Take your time. Easy, you know, just one question at a time. And I just found you racing through it a lot because I think you wanted to say so much. But it was a good interview, very articulate, and we understood everything you were saying and felt it.
When you race like that, sometimes it comes across as too strong, like it's preachy. I tend to do that as well. I'm like, yeah, oh, amen, jy gaan ons, jy weet? And it's great because we can see you're passionate about everything that you are talking about. Just be careful and mindful that it doesn't come across too hard and too, that you, yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
But you were very confident and I was impressed with it, so happy. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, Kia, like Ku said, you need to just take a deep breath. Think about your thoughts, compose them so that you're able to articulate and get to a point. And also with you, I do feel it's always very preachy. I think you where you are in your life, you have obviously your experiences and your life in general. There's always a stance of like, I'm a fighter, I need to fight. Kia, you are here. You don't need to fight anymore. Okay? You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't. You're here. You need to now show us your personality, things you love, not things you're still fighting for.
Well said.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Change where your where your brain is and where your mind is and where you're positioned. You don't need to fight anything, and we know you're here and you're stunning. All right? Wonderful.
I loved your passion, but it does come across a little bit almost aggressive, which scared me a little, which I love. I mean, your passion should scare people.
Yeah, it should.
But I
Good.
think for a Miss South Africa platform where you have to relate to so many people, people need to feel that nurture in your voice and that nurturing female energy from you. And for me, I didn't quite get that. And I think you are doing well and you definitely have a point of view. But like everybody says, we all concur, calm down.
Thank you so much, Kia.
Thank you, Kia.
Yeah.
Up next, Jordan.
I think for me, your interview went well. However, I'll still go back to the very same thing. You've spent your entire life not really having to show personality that much. I mean, I'm talking about your career, being a hanger for clothes, and now, not in a bad way, no offense to the designer, we really don't care what you're wearing. We want to see you, we want to feel you, and I think you definitely came through. And you try to. I do still want a little bit of more personality in there, you know. But I think aside from that, your interview went well, and you spoke your truth. Because remember, ultimately, that's what it is. I do have an idea of what you're passionate about and what you would like to do, and where you see the fashion industry and inclusivity coming in, and yeah, and so well done for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, is it me?
If you want to go.
So you answered your questions really well. I was just disappointed in some of the answers, and I'll be, you know, diversity and inclusion is so important, and I think you need to be more grounded and more content around diversity and inclusion. Sure.
I agree with Ku on what she says. Clearly know what you are passionate about, and I think it's amazing. It's so different. I'm someone that loves fashion as well. But just to make it more relatable for everyone. And once again, with your answers, how can I do this for the country, including everyone, and different people and different aspects as well, not just to be so fixated on one thing that we miss that essence that I know is there, because there's so much more, and I'm scared that you're not showing it too much. You must use that confidence that you have and bring it out in all the different spheres, not just this one thing that you are very passionate about, but show us all the other aspects of your life and your being as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Jordan, I enjoyed your interview. I enjoy hearing you speak, and I did feel like you, like you, sometimes do not know how to articulate, you know, your point, and therefore you sometimes get lost in the answer. I don't know if we're losing the personality or you or your thoughts and your experiences and how you relate to a topic, but once again, it's very model-esque. I need depth. I want you know. But I think you did well, so well done.
Jordan, I just want to see more facets to you. I really want to find out what else you're passionate about besides fashion. I mean, I'm passionate about fashion, but it's not my complete world. I would like to see what other pieces there are of you that somebody that's not into fashion, somebody that's not into modeling can relate to as your Miss South Africa, as their Miss South Africa.
Thank you so much, judges. Just say that that's why I brought in those 5 girls that I spoke to, the doctors, the nurses, and also the actress, and why I said I want them to be able to find out what they're passionate about by getting those workshops into schools, so that it's not only fashion, so that the doctor, the nurse, the pediatrician, the dentist, and the actress that I spoke to potentially could find their path in life.
See, that's the passion we're talking about. You
I love
spoke
that.
about all of this now with so much more passion. More of that, please.
And you articulated that more.
Yes.
You see?
So bring that in sooner and make that a bulk of the thing.
To
That
the
we don't
point.
just think of the fashion.
Yes.
Because it is there.
Yeah,
It is
don't
there.
leave judges with question marks.
Yes,
You know,
that's
do your
what it is.
thing and make sure at the end of the day you've put a full stop. By the time you're done, we know who Jordan is. We understand who we get her. That's it. But well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because
Well
it
done.
is there. It's
Yeah.
there.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan. All right, next we have Womba.
I want to say well done in terms of what you believe in and what you stand in. So you can stand up for what you believe in and you're so passionate about it. The one thing that I found out during the interview is you're exceptionally intelligent. You really articulate yourself really well, you listen, and you answer the questions very well. Well done to you.
Well done. Hombai, I will agree with Ku. I thought you were the best, you know, today in terms of your interview, how you articulate what you say, what you said to us, the stories that you shared, your vulnerability, lots of, you know, stories that a normal, ordinary person can relate to. Very conversational, filled and rich with knowledge. And you can tell you're just such an intelligent, educated, well-rounded young woman. And, you know, you mentioned inclusivity, and I'm so happy you're in this competition because there are many young women who look like you and who live, you know, similar lives to you. And I think your inclusion in this process is very important. It's the reason why we are doing this competition. So congratulations. You did fantastic, my girl.
Well, I have to agree. I think I came here knowing that I was going to be inspired, but you really inspired me a lot. I think this pageant needs exactly women like you to speak for the young girls and boys and trans people all over South Africa and the world, to give them a voice. And I think the only way we are going to fight the stigma is by normalizing it so that it's not something that we have to hide. And I think you're so brave to speak out on such a public platform as you did. And I must tell you, having been an openly gay man myself, it is important what we're doing. And the more we raise our voices, the more we change society. So I have to applaud you for that.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
I think you were exceptional, also because I've seen you on your first day at the interviews, who you were and who you are now, absolutely beautiful and amazing to watch. However, there is only one advice I'm going to give to you, because you are so intelligent. It can be a little bit intimidating, you know, and I'm speaking from a good place to say, I know you're fun. Because anybody who rides a skateboard from work to home is definitely a fun person.
Yeah.
So even when you are in an interview, even when you're showing us that part of you whereby you're smart, intelligent, very outspoken, you believe in you tell us what you believe in, I still want you to be a little bit fun, because I want the ordinary South African to be able to relate to you. If you come across as this is it's like very academic, very this, you know, it might just, you know, so I still want you to bring that girl that is there, because she is there. I want you to bring her in as well on this journey, so people can say, oh, she's smart and she's fun. Why? Because we want people to see that you don't have to fit into a certain, to be put in a certain mold. You can be fun and you can still be smart and intelligent. So please try and bring so much more of who you are into the interviews as well.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add on that. It's amazing how intelligent you are, and
Yeah.
you're very brave today, and I want
Yeah.
to commend you on that. But don't be scared to still let that fun girl with her skateboard come out.
Yeah.
It's such a fine line, girls, and remember we are nitpicking now, really. It's such a fine line and it's difficult to show all the aspects of who you are in these 8 minutes. But if you want to be the best, I would say try and be your holistic, full-rounded self when you give a speech.
Yeah.
With your smartness, with your fun,
Yeah.
with everything.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Anka.
Hi, I thought your interview was amazing. I think you were honest, you were genuine, you were prepared as well. And I like the fact that you were not apologetic about who you are, which made me very happy. You know, in comparison to what I said before, don't lose who you are. And yeah, and I'm happy that came through. So even in the seriousness and you finding the girl in the woman or the woman in the girl, whatever they said during the past weeks, I'm very happy that I still got to see that spark during the interview. So yeah, well done for that.
Anka, I thought you're a very, very good listener. You listened and you answered accordingly. And you also articulated yourself well. What, for me, I just saw a little bit of lack of confidence. So you just need to speak up, you know, when you're passionate about something, you need to show that, demonstrate that passion and speak about it. But I thought your interview was really well.
I also enjoyed your interview. It was fun to listen to you. There's moments for me where I'm like, oh, are you going to drop the ball? Oh, okay. So it's just like, but I know that's how you are and who you are. And I think as you will grow in this journey, you will get to know yourself better. And I want to challenge you to get to know yourself better, that when a question is asked, you already know the answer, so that you also don't go back and doubt your answer that you gave. Like you said, you doubted yourself with Oprah. Don't do that, even if you felt it, because own up. You said Oprah, and there's a good reason for it. So don't doubt yourself. Know yourself and trust yourself so much that even if that's the answer you gave, and in your head you're like, why did I do this? How can I fix this? Let me save it. But I don't want to see that you are saving it in your mind.
There was a reason. I was like, wait, I need to figure, oh, okay. Then,
but well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well done, Anka. I think you are amazing. And, you know, to have our guest judges say that you listen, she really does listen, because a couple of weeks ago, you know, we gave her direction and she has grown and grown and grown and grown to become this beautiful, gorgeous girl standing in front of me. I'm a very big fan of yours, by the way. I think you are absolutely gorgeous. And you're kind. You're lovable. You are... You like the girl next door. Every single South African is going to fall in love with you because you're just relatable and you love your country. That's the one thing I heard when you know, during your interview, that you love South Africa, you love yourself, and the experiences that have happened to you in our country have built you to become who you are. I will say though, there's times where you do waffle and speak, you know, for long about things, or for long. So just compose and articulate. But your story, your life, your face, you are just perfect. Well done.
I can echo everything my fellow judges said. I just want to touch on something that's also just a little bit of an advice for the way ahead is try and focus also a little bit more on body language. As much as your vocal words very important, I think body language is also very important. And I do see that you have studied it a little bit, but go on YouTube, watch a few more videos, and hopefully we see you on the main stage.
thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well done, Anka.
Thank you so much. All right, we have Natasha.
Natasha, for me, your interview was good. I think you were prepared. And of course, oftentimes would be, you know, I thought it was a great interview. However, I don't want you to sound rehearsed. Do you understand? And there's a thin line as well between humility and just trying too hard. We just want to see you. We just want you to speak from the heart, and I think 80% of the time that's exactly what you did. So just continue staying true to who you are, and yeah, and I thought it was a good interview. Yeah.
Natasha, I found you extremely authentic, and your humility, as I said from my opening line, it resonated with me. You know, when you spoke about your childhood, it really, really resonated with me that as a woman, you could speak about your vulnerability. And that speaks about who you are as a woman. So congratulations on that. The other thing that I admire so much about you is you have stage presence. I really felt engaged with your interview.
Beautifully spoken. I love it. I love the authenticity mixed with the seriousness. I want to challenge you now to even, like they said, be more yourself. No matter what's happening around you, step into this truth. That's why you are here, the reason for it. Don't be scared to show up. Don't make yourself small for other people. Keep showing up as your authentic self. We want to see more of that.
Fantastic. Well, Natasha, I thought you were amazing. Really just, you are doing so well, and I love always just how much effort you put into everything that you do. I will agree with some of the judges that there are points during the interview where it was a little flat, where I sort of like, not dozed off, but it wasn't as captivating as before, you know? Cool, calm, and composed, but have bursts of, you know, sass here and there, just to keep the excitement alive and to keep the attention on you. I thought you were fantastic as usual, and congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
I love what Bonang is saying. We want a bit more of explosive moments, where peaks and valleys in your interview, so that we keep our attention on you. Your runway is perfect, your presentation is beautiful, your heart is beautiful. But just give us a few peaks and valleys if we're going to be listening to your story for the full 8 minutes and the other ladies' stories. We really want to be excited, and we want to feel it with you, and we want to be sad with you, and we want to be happy with you. But in general, you do you. You're doing it great.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done,
Thanks,
Natasha.
Natasha.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Up next, we have Melissa.
Melissa. Melissa. So, yeah, I had quite a few things that made me unhappy during your interview. I think number one, you speak too fast.
Yeah.
So one cannot hear what you're saying. And then also, you know, with pageants, you need to be very careful that you become a robot. You become quotables, you know? Like quotables, buzzwords. And I felt like you used buzzwords versus really having a conversation with Melissa. You gave me pageant answers. I don't want pageant answers. I want you. So I was very disappointed, unfortunately, with your interview today. It was I still, there were no answers, no questions were answered. You spoke too quickly. It wasn't a good interview. So sorry, my love.
Melissa, I thought you were really well prepared for the interview, but too well prepared. And you know what happened? You didn't listen. I asked you, give me 3 inspirational people. You only gave me 2. And you were and the Banan also asked you a question, and you didn't answer the question. You just went on. So sometimes it's just the listening skills that will help you articulate your questions better.
What I'm going to say, and this is from my heart, right? I think sometimes in our journeys, things happen, and they hurt us, and they harm us. But I always say we all have scars, right? And it's okay to have scars because it's a sign that you have healed. What I don't want you to do is show up with a wound, because it means it's still hurting. And I think the process, for what it's worth, has been hard on you. And I have seen you 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I have seen you a few weeks ago getting into the top 12. And that's the girl who can come back and win Miss South Africa. Not somebody who is sad, who is hurt, who is broken and wounded at the current moment. Doesn't mean you're not going to heal. But for me personally, and that's why I'm saying this is from my heart, to say I have seen you at your best, and I do expect better because I know you can be better, because I have seen you standing on a stage with a whole lot of girls, but standing out and captivating me, whereby I couldn't see anybody else but you. And I want that girl back. That's what I want. And you are her. Maybe just not today. Maybe you're not feeling like her, but you are her. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate what they're saying, but I'm not going to do that because we're not here to bring you down. And it takes so much guts to stand there, especially when you're going through something. I think all of you has had hard days during this competition. And the thing is, why are you here? Are you here to heal, or are you here to show that I've healed and I want to help the rest of the country heal? And that's a question only you can answer. But I'm missing that thing that I used to see in you, that spark. And even your voice changed today. It was soft. I was really struggling to hear what you're saying. And it's not what I expect of you. And I know you can be better. She's there.
I just want you to sparkle and shine more. I think next time you are on a runway, when you are having an audience in front of you, just show us something. Bonang was saying earlier, we want a show.
Yeah.
Give us some excitement. Give us something to talk about. Listen, did you see that? That's what we want. In the end of the day, I think your interview was a bit flat, but I do think you have that in you to give us a show and to be a perfect Miss South Africa.
And I'd just like to add, absolutely, thank you so much for those words. I am that person. She is still me, who I showed up as, who is still standing there, is still there. And I think too often we may get into our heads, but like I said in my interview, me standing here and not giving up when they were all thrown at me is proof that I am here for a reason. My message is important. And Miss South Africa deserves the best of me. And should I be given another chance, I really want to bring that forward because I don't believe my time is up just yet.
Yeah.
Good. Good, Melissa. Thank you, my love.
All right. Lastly, we have Nandy.
Nandy. I absolutely loved your interview. You were so natural, you were so authentic. Like, listen, from the first question that Koo asked into one of the questions, I'm not sure if it was the first, but the 3 people that you would want to have lunch with, for me, it told me about you. It's your mom. I understand why. It's Michelle Obama. I understand why. And then there's a Beyonce in there because you are a fun girl. So what I'm going to say is your interview, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You were absolutely amazing. You were real. You didn't try and be too coaty. Oh, I believe. Oh, this or that. You were just yourself. And it went smoothly. But, you know, just keep that. Keep that. Should you make it to the next round, just keep that. Stay true to who you are and keep giving us who you are. But it was absolutely lovely. Yeah.
I felt your interview, I was so engaged. I wanted to listen to you more and more and more. And you were so well poised, you were elegant. And the thing that really stands out for me was you were absolutely present.
Yes.
And I felt your presence, so well done.
Thank you.
I feel safe when you speak. Yeah, it feels like you create a safe space. And it feels authentic and like it comes from the heart. Like that joy that shines through your face. So well done. It was everything they said. I agree with it completely. And I'm excited to see more of you. And I think that's great. That's what I took from your interview. I was excited to. Actually, I wanted you to start talking about more things and more things. So well done. You did great.
Well done. And I'm just going to echo what my fellow judges said. You were amazing, very captivating. You know, it felt like we were having a conversation like with the best of friends. You know, there's a kindness and a warmth and a humility to your aura. You have such a beautiful aura that you don't see directly and indirectly impacts people around you. People are so calm when you're around, you know, and I just thought you were absolutely captivating and very memorable, which is important at this stage of the competition.
Thank you.
Well done.
Nandy, you have this effervescent glow to you. Something that keeps capturing my eye, captivating my eye, and wherever you are on the stage, I keep seeing this energy floating, and I like that. And I think that is something a Miss South Africa should have. It should be, when she enters a room, all eyes must be on her. So great on that, and great interview. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
We can be besties after this.
Nandy.
Nandy, damn it. Nandy.
It's the Xhosa, not the Zulu.
Yes.
Thank you, Nandy.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
darling. Thank you so much.